Hi, welcome to the BIOL1322 Chapter 8 recap. This is Professor Enriquez here to summarize Chapter 8, which, as you can see, has to do with vitamins. So we're going to be looking at Chapter 8. And when I say vitamins, I don't necessarily just mean vitamins, because Chapter 9 is also for vitamins as well. Chapter 8 has to do a lot with vitamins and how they relate to metabolism. We're going to talk about free radicals and metabolic enzymes and how vitamins play roles in working with those. So these are our topics for Chapter 8, and I'm going to start by talking about enzymes. Now, they've already been mentioned before in your book briefly, but we have to get into a little more detail on them. So enzymes, as you can see on the right-hand side here, there is a diagram of an enzyme. It's an example of one particular enzyme, and what this is a bunch of amino acids that are all in a long chain that is coiled up to make a three-dimensional structure. And that three-dimensional structure has a function, which you can see in the bottom diagram, which is to catalyze chemical reactions. And so that may be a little bit abstract because chemical reactions, there's lots of different chemical reactions. Basically, all the chemical reactions that happen in our cells are facilitated by enzymes. And so, for example, if you go on the all steak diet for some reason, I don't know why you would do that for a long period of time, but you could just basically eat nothing but steak. Obviously, your blood still needs glucose, and your adipose tissue is still going to store fat. But what happens is that's those amino acids that are broken down. They go to your liver. Your liver has a bunch of enzymes that break apart the amino acids and turn them into glucose, turn them into triglycerides. And then if you just go on the olive oil diet, you won't die right away. You'll eventually die, but for a while you'll be fine because the triglycerides that are in the olive oil will be broken down to make glucose as well. So basically all these interconversions, those are all accomplished with enzymes. And many of those enzymes that do those jobs, now we've already talked about digestive enzymes earlier when we looked at chapter 3, there was the digestion. But when you look at these metabolic enzymes, a lot of them have cofactors, like enzymes that have a mineral in them. So, for example, the enzyme that's on the right-hand side, there's those little gray balls. Those are actually indicative of zinc ions. So, zinc ions are present in this enzyme to do specific jobs. That helps it work correctly. If the mineral or the vitamin is not there, these enzymes often still work, but just not as well. And so when we look at a lot of the vitamins that are in chapter 8, like the B vitamins mostly, the B vitamins are often present in the enzymes that convert proteins to fat, proteins to carbs, carbs to fat, fat to carb. All of the different conversions that you could do in your liver, all of those are done with enzymes, and almost all of them have B vitamins are required. And that's why they put. If you ever take an energy drink like Red Bull or especially those 5-hour energy shots, those things. If you just look at the ingredients, they usually have a bunch of B vitamins because those B vitamins facilitate mitochondrial function. They facilitate the conversion of the different molecules into each other, helping your liver work more quickly. And which ultimately boosts your metabolism. So another thing most of what Chapter 8 is over, basically most of Chapter 8, the first part of Chapter 8 has to do with the metabolic enzymes and how the vitamins help those. And then there's a couple minerals mentioned. I mentioned zinc helps a lot of enzymes work as well. The other mineral that helps our metabolism is iodine, which iodine is used to make thyroid hormones. Your thyroid's here in your throat, and the thyroid produces thyroxine, and those are made with iodine. So if you don't have enough iodine in your diet or in your system, you cannot produce enough of thyroid hormones, and those boost your mitochondrial activity as well. So, and that's actually more of just a matter for signaling. So, for example, if you need to create a fever. So, for example, your hypothalamus tells you to have a fever. Fever is an intentional action on the part of your body. What happens is your thyroid secretes more T3 and T4, and your mitochondria burn more calories, and you heat up, and that's actually what causes the fever. So obviously you can have, if you overdose on iodine, if you take too much iodine, you can actually get a thyroid storm, and you can basically have a fever, and it's not good for you. The diagram at the bottom actually shows the action of one of the enzymes we're going to talk about. Tryptophan oxygenase. It takes tryptophan and breaks one of the double bonds and puts a ketone group there. And so that's done with the help of vitamins and minerals. So this is actually a diagram from your book showing a bunch of coenzymes and the different vitamins that make up part of the coenzyme. So notably, for example, niacin is on there as one of them. Niacin is a part of coenzyme NAD, which you may have heard, nicotinamide, right? You may have heard of that possibly when you look at mitochondrial function and NADP. Those are made with niacin. So if you don't have enough niacin in your diet, your mitochondria can't work correctly because NAD is important for that. So I will not ask you to memorize all these. That would be mean. I'm not going to do that. I do want you to understand what these are for in the general sense, which, as you can see, all these coenzymes are involved first off in breaking down protein, taking down protein, breaking it down for energy, breaking down fat for energy, breaking down carbs for energy, and then also converting protein to carbs, carbs to fat, etc. All of these arrows here going left and right are done with these coenzymes as well. So basically all these coenzymes are really important for properly being able to process the food that you eat, break it down efficiently to turn into the molecules that your body needs. So like I said, I will not ask you to know all these coenzymes. I actually don't even plan on specifically asking you specifics about, for example, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin. What's important to me is that you understand that the B vitamins are for processing the macromolecules for energy. So if you don't have enough riboflavin or niacin, in the general sense, what would be the problem? The problem would be with your liver. The problem is burning enough calories, things like that. I'm not going to, because the book is very specific about all of the enzymes, and I'm not interested in that as much. Not necessarily that I don't think it's important at all, but the thing is, you could go look that up if it matters. As far as looking at a B vitamin and knowing what that is, you just need to know that they're water-soluble molecules that make up part of coenzymes that are for your metabolism, your cells breaking down and changing molecules from one kind into another. That's the most important thing I want you to take from this. So that's the first half of Chapter 8. And the second half of Chapter 8 has to do with free radicals. And so to understand free radicals, you've got to talk a little chemistry again. So basically the idea is that if electrons are often ejected, emitted from chemical reactions or involved in them. And sometimes the chemical reaction, now there's no specific chemical reaction in our body that's supposed to produce extra electrons. It happens by accident sometimes when just molecules just happen to just undergo a side reaction. And what happens is when you do that, you end up with unpaired electrons. And that unpaired electrons are also called free radicals because unpaired electrons are a big problem. Electrons like to come in pairs. Bonds are always pairs of electrons. Lone pairs are also lone pairs of electrons. Anytime you have an unpaired electron, you start to have a serious issue because you have an unpaired electron. So, for example, you can see in the diagram that's on your left on the lower side, you can see that you start with a normal molecule, normal lipid, but it runs into this hydroxide radical. But it has an unpaired electron. That dot means there's one electron. And that unpaired electron creates chaos because it basically causes this, steals a hydrogen off of this lipid and leaves behind an unpaired free radical. And this unpaired free radical ends up stealing another hydrogen from somewhere else. And then guess what it's going to do? It's going to steal the hydrogen from somewhere else. And so basically they end up playing hot potato. They end up passing this electron around, this unpaired electron. And so that in so doing, it changes the chemical reaction. It changes what they're capable of doing. It changes this molecule. This molecule is no longer useful, and it may change its structure in the process of doing these chemical reactions. So these free radicals are basically super bad. They end up contributing to the aging process, damaging your tissues, making the molecules not useful. So we have molecules in our body called antioxidants, and antioxidants basically take up the unpaired electron without passing it on to something else. So they absorb that unpaired electron in a safe manner, and that's their function, is to trap rogue unpaired electrons without allowing them to cause further harm to your body. And so that's the entire, you may have heard the terms free radicals and antioxidants, but now maybe you have a little bit of a better idea why antioxidants are so important. One of the most interesting thing about antioxidants is that there are several different antioxidants, and there's two vitamins that act as antioxidants. They're vitamin E and vitamin C. They're very important, both of them. And the reason they're both important, you can't just take vitamin C and not take vitamin E and be like, I'll be okay. They can't. That won't work. And well, several reasons. Obviously, both these enzymes have other functions as well. Both these vitamins, I should say. But vitamin E is lipid soluble, meaning that it's a lipid molecule, and it actually will inhabit lipid environments like the cell phospholipid bilayer cell membranes. It'll inhabit adipocytes. It'll inhabit lipoprotein, transport proteins. So the vitamin E basically traps any free radicals that go into the lipid area. Meanwhile, vitamin C is water soluble, so it's found in the watery areas of your body, inside the cells, in the cytoplasm of your cells, in your blood, things like that. And so the water soluble vitamin C traps any free radicals, unpaired electrons that are present in your fluids of your cells and so forth. And here on the lower side, you can see ascorbic acid is actually the technical name for vitamin C. Interestingly enough, fun fact, this isn't on the test, but many animals can actually produce their own vitamin C, their own ascorbic acid from glucose, but we humans don't have the enzyme to do this. We've lost it at some point in our evolution, so that's why we need to eat fruits and and also it's in meat as well. You can get it from other animals that do produce vitamin C, so that you have enough. Because vitamin C is super helpful. Ascorbic acid is super helpful. It traps. Again, you can see some chemical reactions where it actually traps these free radicals and becomes something else, dehydroascorbate, and then it breaks down, when it does that, in this case, into tartrate and oxalate, and those are both harmless molecules, and it breaks apart in such a way that it no longer has those free radicals. There are other minerals that may help, especially. Number one on the list is selenium. So if you see, selenium's main function is also to be an antioxidant as well. So these are the major antioxidants in our body. There's plenty of other ones, and you can see like, oh, this is antioxidants. Like, blueberries are high in antioxidants. And I'm not saying that those don't work. Absolutely they work. But vitamin E and vitamin C are the main, most important ones that's in the highest concentration in our body. And those trap free radicals and prevent them from pillaging our cellular structures. All right, another example, by the way, of an antioxidant is beta-carotene, which can be converted into vitamin A. Vitamin A, I don't really think necessarily works as an antioxidant. Beta-carotene does. But vitamin A is super important for a lot of things. And this is the last part of Chapter 8. It was just over the function of vitamin A. Vitamin A is one of the most important functions it has is to act as a light detector molecule in your eyes. And so it's actually used to make retinal. Well, retinal is actually a form of vitamin A that is present in the cell membranes of the cells of the retina of the inside of your eye, that when light hits it, they actually send signals to your brain. So if you don't have any vitamin A, or you don't have enough, I should say, if you don't have any, you're going to die. But if you don't have enough vitamin A, your eyes stop working, you start having night blindness. This has actually been known for a long time, that people who don't get enough, and especially in the old days with carrots, where carrots are a major source of vitamin. Basically, anything kind of orangish is going to be kind of have a lot of lycopene and beta carotene, the other carotenoids, and those can mostly be converted into vitamin A. That's what makes them so useful, because vitamin A is specifically the thing that helps. And so lack of them can actually harm your vision. So if you've ever heard, oh, you got to make sure you eat your carrots because the carrots are good for your eyes. That actually is true. Well, the vitamin A, if you don't like carrots, you can find something else that's also kind of orangish in color that is most likely the reason it's orange, because it has vitamin A as well. I don't know about cheddar cheese, if that one does or not, but most of the other things do. It has plenty of other functions, but and it helps especially with development, meaning like vitamin A deficiency in like fetuses means they don't grow enough of all the cells they need. The signals don't work correctly. But as far as adult health, it's basically making the number one thing it does is for your eyes. So that would be vitamin A's function. All right, that is it for Chapter 8. Thanks for watching, and I hope this makes sense, and I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, send me messages through Canvas or by carrier pigeon, and I will see you again next week. Thanks.